Good morning. Welcome to Walking Boxing. It is Sunday, October 26th, 2025. And as you can see, I'm not out on my walk today. It's actually coming down pretty heavily here where I live at the moment. So Neil is happily tucked up inside on the couch with his little blanket. He's not going outside today. So I was going to actually attempt just to actually go for a quick walk and do this video, but I'm not sure you can hear it, but it's actually coming down pretty heavily there. So I will do it as always when in this situation, just here on my back patio. All right, so we've just seen the Fabio Wardley upset win over Joseph Parker. What a performance. I'll get to that in a second, but yeah, I must admit I didn't think he could do it, but he has. And fantastic effort. A little bit controversial. I'll get to that in a sec. But let's get to the on this day for starters. A couple of big heavyweight fights in boxing history. Back in 1951, Rocky Marciano knocked out Joe Louis in the 8th round at Madison Square Garden. It was the final fight of the Brown Bombers' career. 37 years of age. So you think, in this day and age, there's no way he'd be finished. He'd be just sort of getting warmed up, wouldn't he? 37 years of age. So plenty, but he had, 69 fights. So he retired with a record of 66-3 with 52 knockouts. And that was just the second time his career had been stopped. The other one was, of course, by Matt Schmeling at Yankee Stadium. That was in 1936. In 1970, October 26, of course, today, 1970, Muhammad Ali stopped Jerry Quarry in 3 rounds in Atlanta, Georgia. And that was his first fight back after being exiled for 3 years and being stripped of that world heavyweight title for not wanting to be drafted into the military. So that was his first fight since March 1967. And it was stopped on a cut, as I said, in the 3rd round. So that's what happened on this day in boxing history. All right, so on to today. Wow, geez, I don't really know what to say. First of all, actually, what I will say is what an unbelievable fight it was. It really was. Back and forth, both guys in trouble, both guys having their moments. Thought it was a fantastic heavyweight fight. And just the ebbs and flows and the momentum changes and the numerous times I thought one guy would win and I thought the other guy would win. And I was pretty confident actually in the lead up to the fight that Joseph Parker would have too much class for Fabio Wardley. I thought Fabio Wardley, based on his last I know he had the Fraser Clark fight, but for me, against Justis Huni, that was his first real test against an elite fighter, even though Justis wasn't obviously at the top of the tree. And I thought he looked very, very ordinary. I thought he looked sort of wooden and robot-like. And I thought Justis Huni really exposed him for being a very average fighter. But I tell you what, as soon as the fight started, I thought, geez, this guy has just improved out of sight. I know styles make fights, by the way, but I thought that Parker actually fought a similar style to Justis Huni, just a little bit more experienced sort of version of Justis Huni. So that's why I expected Joseph to have a pretty comfortable night. But I tell you what, right from the word go, Fabio Wardley just didn't look out of place. He had good shape, really good jab. We started a little bit slowly, but I still liked what I saw. I actually thought the first round was Joseph Parker, and I thought he boxed well. Really crisp jab to the head, to the body, mixed it up, and I think in the corner, Andy Lee, I think, was actually pretty happy with things as well. You could hear him in the corner saying, "Vary the jab." So what he meant by that is head, body, double it up, triple it up, whatever you might want to do. So I thought he did that really, really well. And Fabio Wardley, probably to be expected. He does start a little bit slowly in most of his fights, but took him a little while to get going. But I just really was impressed just with the way Fabio Wardley handled Joseph Parker. Even though I gave Joseph Parker the round, I was, as I said, impressed by Fabio's his poise, his counter jab as well. But even though I gave Parker the round, I was really impressed. The second round is when all hell broke loose, didn't it? I thought it was a really good round from Joseph Parker up until he got nailed. And I thought he actually hurt Fabio Wardley. I think it might have been a left hook, was it? I think it was. And I thought, well, Fabio Wardley's in a bit of trouble here because I didn't think he had the capabilities to be able to grab and hold and everything if he did get hurt. And Joseph Parker's a pretty good finisher. So And Joseph Parker looked like he had Fabio Wardley on the go, and then all of a sudden, bang, comes back. Fabio comes back with I think it was a right uppercut from memory. I haven't seen the replay or anything yet, guys. I'm sort of fresh from watching it to out here. But I think it was a right uppercut, and then all of a sudden, Joseph Parker's in trouble. Fabio Wardley pours it on and just couldn't get the job done. And then, of course, the mouth guard comes out, and he gets, an extra 10 or 15 seconds. And I'm not going to say it saved Joseph Parker, but it certainly didn't help Wardley's case, did it? That he was held up for 15 or seconds, whatever it was. And Ben Davidson in the corner wasn't happy, and to be expected. This is probably one reason why I keep saying this rule, as far as the mouth guard goes, should be abolished. If you lose your mouth guard during the round, well, that's stiff. Because we've seen it numerous times. Of course, Navarrete against Wilson comes to mind as an Australian boxing fan. But it just really disadvantages the guy that has the momentum. So I don't like that rule. And the fact that if you are hurt, you can spit the mouth guard out and there's no questions asked. The referee just stops the fight, lets their fighter go back to the corner. No doubt the fighter takes his time getting to the corner. Then, no doubt, the corner then, geez, where's the mouth guard? Where's the water? I can't sort of find the bucket to wash in. All these little tricks come up, and most of the time, what should be a 5 or 10 second delay becomes up to 30 seconds sometimes. So I don't like it. I really think it doesn't do the attacking fighter any favours, and I think that if you lose your mouth guard during the round, whether you spit it out, whether it's knocked out, whatever, I think it should be fight on, and at the end of the round, the referee picks up the mouth guard, takes it back to the corner, and away we go. I just think it's being used almost as a tactic these days. Not to say that was the case with Joseph Parker. I think it was legit that it actually came loose. But I didn't really like the fact that Fabio Wardley had that chance taken away from him in the second round. And I can quite understand why Ben Davidson and the rest of the corner were pretty pissed off about that. So a big round for Fabio Wardley in the second round. The third round, I thought he actually had a really good round in that as well. I thought that Joseph Parker sort of struggled to get his bearings. Very experienced Joseph Parker, so he did what he had to do, moved around, clinched when he had to. He sort of took the round off a little bit, and I thought that Fabio Wardley actually won that round as well. And I think I'm getting these rounds right. It's pretty hard when you watch 12 rounds trying to remember exactly what. So forgive me if I get a round or two a little bit wrong. But I thought the fourth round as well. Now this is a round that a lot of the fans and the commentators on the commentary of the fight gave to Joseph Parker, but I actually differed. I actually gave what was a pretty close round. I thought that Fabio Wardley actually did enough. I thought he landed the better shots. I thought even though Joseph Parker did start to come back into the fight, I actually still gave the fourth to Fabio Wardley. And as I said, I know on the fan poll on DAZN, they gave it to Parker, and so did the commentators. But I actually had it 3-1 after 4 rounds, which sort of went a little bit in the face of what most fans had out there. I think most people had it probably 2-2. But then I thought in the 5th round, Joseph Parker really started to find his bearings again, really started to find his shape again, as they say, looked a lot more poised. And I thought Fabio Wardley just started to tire. He put a lot into those previous couple of rounds. And I thought Joseph Parker started to take control again. And I thought he probably won the next 2 or 3 rounds. I'm just trying to think what it was. So that was the 4th. I think after 8, I had it 4 rounds each. Now, I think, again, the commentators and the fans probably had it 5-3 for Joseph Parker, but again, I had it 4-4. I thought Fabio Wardley was doing a good job of matching jabs with Joseph Parker. I thought Joseph Parker, being sort of the busier fighter, being on the front foot, probably gave him those rounds, but I thought that Fabio Wardley won. So what did I have it after? What did I say? After 4, I had it 3-1 for Wardley. After 4, it was even. So I gave Parker 3 of the next 4 rounds. I can't remember what round I actually gave to Wardley, but I just thought he was hanging in there. And even though Joseph Parker was starting to get on top in some respects, Wardley starting to tire, Parker starting to turn it on. It was probably at that point, even though I had it even after 8 rounds, I thought that the fight was Parker's. I thought he was starting to find his groove. And I thought the experience level was really starting to come to the fore, and I thought he was starting to get to Fabio Wardley. But the interesting thing, and I think one of the commentators might have said it after the fight as well, that just based on the early round success that Wardley had as far as hurting Parker goes, I just had it in the back of my mind that, geez, I still reckon Wardley can win this fight, even though I thought Parker was well and truly back on track to maybe take those later rounds and as they say, take Wardley into those deeper waters from rounds sort of 9 through 12. I just had it in the back of my head that, geez, he's hurt Parker a couple of times, and Parker, even though he'd had success against Wardley and looked like he had him hurt a few times, Wardley at no stage really looked like he was going to go, and each time he was hurt, he'd bite down the mouth guard and he'd fire back. And I think the commentators actually said a few times that when Wardley is hurt, that's what he's actually at his most dangerous. And you could sort of get that feeling that even though Parker was sort of getting the better of the exchanges, that Wardley was just hanging in there and he would hurt Parker occasionally with a little shot. Also thought that Parker was doing a pretty good job actually going to the body of Wardley. You see he switched down below, and it wasn't a sustained attack, but it was just the occasional boom, he'd go downstairs and really wallop Wardley to the body. And I thought that was having an effect on Wardley as well. But he's a tough guy and a lot of heart. And I know there's been a lot made of him only having 4 white colour fights, blue colour fights, whatever the hell they are. I think they're white colour fights. Only having those 4 fights instead of an amateur career and then going straight into the pros. I mean, it's a fantastic effort from the guy. And yes, very rough around the edges. They're very limited in parts of his game. But geez, you cannot fault his heart, his determination, and his skill. As I said before, I think he's really improved a hell of a lot. So after 10 rounds, and I know this again will differ from a lot of you out there, I actually had it even. I can't remember exactly what round I gave Wardley, but I had it 5 rounds each. Now, the commentators and again the fans, I think had it 6 rounds to 4. So we're only talking about 1 round, and I think it would have been that 4th round. Apart from that, we're all on the same page. But I had it 5 rounds apiece. And then I must admit, I thought that based on what I saw in the 10th with, it must have been the 10th round that Wardley won, because I think he hurt Parker, and then of course the 11th came about, and Parker, I think he got cut, and you could see him being really uncomfortable with the cut, and which is unusual for a fighter of Joseph Parker's standing and his experience, that he was so distressed by the cut. You could see him almost sort of stopping his tracks. He sort of started to wipe the eye. He was looking at it. He sort of stopped. He stood back, which is not something you see from someone who's had that type of experience. Normally the really experienced fighters, those elite guys, they just brush it off and they just block it out. But Joseph Parker, you could see, was really hindered by that cut. Really, his concentration had gone, and you could see that Wardley started to pick up on that and then really picked it up. Hurt Joseph Parker. I think was it a left hook? I think it was. Again, correct me if I'm wrong. I haven't watched the replay again, but I think it was a left hook. Joseph Parker sort of went after Wardley, copped the counter left hook. The knee sort of buckled a little bit there, and then Wardley turned it on. Now, this is where obviously it gets very, very controversial, because even though Parker, he looked exhausted, he was under the pump, Wardley didn't look like a fresh daisy either, by the way. He was really starting to feel the pace, but he really poured it on. One of the commentators said he probably should just take a step back and really pick his punches, but he didn't care. He just let them go one after the other. And then the referee stepped in. Now, the big question, of course, is, was the fight stopped early? I'm not sure what you guys think out there, but I do think it was stopped early. Now, I know it's really hard for the referee because it's the 11th round. It's been an absolute war. Both guys have had their moments. Joseph Parker, he has been hurt, visibly hurt, so you can see that. He's under fire. He's wearing he's under the barrage of Fabio Wardley. But from my point of view, I didn't see any real punches landing. That's probably my thing. And I'm going to defend the referee in a second. But first of all, just from the naked eye, I thought Joseph Parker under the pump, Fabio Wardley throwing just shot after shot after shot. But if you look at it, barely any of them were missing. They were grazing off the gloves, grazing off the shoulders, hitting him on the hips, the elbows, the shoulders, whatever it might be. And you didn't really see any big punches getting through. So in that respect, I think it was stopped too early. For a fight of this magnitude, what was on the line? Interim WBO title, a shot at Alexander Usyk to follow. I thought with what was at stake, I thought the referee overreacted just a little bit. But in defence of the referee, all I can say from his point of view is that Joseph Parker wasn't firing back. So Wardley was just throwing all those punches and Parker wasn't throwing back. Now, I'm pretty sure there is sort of the, I'm not sure it's an unwritten rule or just a bit of the referee's code that if a fighter is under the pump and just not returning fire, they have justification to actually step in and stop the fight. So I am going to defend him in that way. But again, with what was at stake and the fact that Joseph Parker was winning the fight, the referee's not going to know that, by the way. I think the official scorecards was one judge had it even, so he actually agreed with me. One had it, I think, 2 rounds in favour of Joseph Parker, which would then probably go in line with a lot of what most people thought, which was having it 6 rounds to 4 for Joseph Parker. The other one, I can't believe, had it 8 rounds to 2 in favour of Joseph Parker. Now, that guy, I don't know what fight he was watching, but I thought it was a lot closer than that, obviously. But the referee, as I said, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. I think he would have every justification if interviewed about it to say, well, look, the guy just wasn't throwing punches back. He looked exhausted. He was hurt. Fabio Wardley was just throwing punch after punch after punch, and he just wasn't returning fire. So I had no choice but to step in and stop the fight. So give him a little bit of grace there. But as I said, overall, I thought for what was at stake, it was a little bit early. So that's 2 fights in a row that Fabio Wardley has literally got out of jail. The fight with Justice Huni, I had it, he was stopped in the 10th, wasn't he, Huni? I think I had it, could have been 7 rounds to 2 or something at the time. It was pretty one-sided for Justice Huni. And the Hail Mary punch, and in that fight as well, Justice Huni got up. There was a count, but there was no finishing the count up to 8. He just stopped the fight as soon as he got up. Didn't let him walk to him, didn't do any of that sort of stuff. He just stopped the fight straight away. So that is one, definitely, I think the referee was in the wrong. But this fight as well, again, out of jail. He was gone. Again, I had it 5 rounds each, but on the scorecards, he still could have won the fight on points, but it may be unlikely. He would have had to have won the 11th and the 12th, and I'm pretty sure it would have actually been a draw, or would it have been? No, it wouldn't have been, because one had it 5 balls and the other one had it 2 rounds. So could have been a draw. If he had won those last 2 rounds, it would have been a draw. But he's pulled it out of the fire. Good on him. Good on Fabio Wardley. And I suppose it also makes you think how good Justice Huni is, doesn't it? That he stopped Joseph Parker and Justice Huni had him on absolute toast for 9.5 rounds before getting caught. I know different fights, different styles, all that sort of stuff, but I'm sure Justice Huni is probably sitting back at home thinking, geez, if only I had just played it easy or taken it a little bit easier or played it safe in those last 2 rounds, that it could have been a lot different than what might have been happening next. So, but it is what it is. Fabio Wardley, as I said earlier, full respect to him. I thought he'd improved out of sight from the Justice Huni fight and deserved his win. He really did. Showed so much heart, determination, courage, you name it, hung in there. And I suppose that's a little bit of proof to any fighter out there. All you got to do is hang in there and anything is possible. So good on Fabio Wardley. Now the next big question, of course, is Alexander Usyk. He did say after the fight that, of course, he wanted the fight. Frank Lawrence said that's the fight they want. And that looks like the fight that will happen. Excuse me. I think, what is it now, October? So you would think that Usyk might be ready to go in maybe April, May, June, something like that. I mean, Fabio Wardley's going to need a good month off just to recover from this fight. But he does like the fight pretty often, does Fabio Wardley. So you would think that, who knows, it could be about May next year, maybe even June. When did Usyk fight? It was July of this year. So it was around sort of May or June. I don't think there'd be too many issues with that. So that looks like the fight that's going to happen. Now, is it going to be another notch on Usyk's British boxing belt? He's had, obviously, Joshua, Fury, Dubois, and could it now be Fabio Wardley. So either way, hey, he's deserved his shot. Whether you think it was stopped too early, whether you think he was lucky, whatever, he's now the most deserving heavyweight in the division, and he will get his shot at Alexander Usyk. And it's probably a little bit early to have predictions. I know after the fight, a lot of people saying how much easy work it would be for Alexander Usyk, but look, you can't write this guy off. He's a big guy. He can punch. He's got the heart of a lion. And I know probably just like the Parker fight, you can look at it and go, well, Usyk will just box rings around him. But this guy just finds a way to win. So I'm not going to rule him out at all. Anything is possible. Sometimes these champions age overnight. Who's to say in May or June next year that Alexander Usyk being, 39, not having fought in a year, it just could happen. I'm not saying it will. I'm just saying don't count out Fabio Wardley straight off the bat without sort of seeing how the whole thing's going to play out. But should be a fascinating fight, and no doubt the fight will be in England. They'll probably get 100,000 to Wembley Stadium, and what an event it'll be. You can't say a bad word about the English fans. They turn out in force and they just make the atmosphere absolutely electric. So that is it. So Fabio Wardley knocks out Joseph Parker in the 11th round. Not so sure what's next for Joseph Parker. I've got a feeling he'll fight on. I think he fought well enough that he could get another opportunity. Who knows if the belts splinter at some stage. He would be in line, you would think, to fight. Maybe it's a Moses Otama. Maybe it's Derek Chisora. I don't know. It could be someone like that. That he might get a shot at another vacant belt. But for now, it's no go for Joseph Parker. He's still young enough and still got enough in the tank, I think, to come back. But this will probably set him back another year, 18 months, whatever. But again, if those belts splinter for any reason, I think he will be the first in line to fight one of those other guys. So there it is, guys. As always, give me your thoughts. Congratulations, Fabio Wardley. Fantastic effort. And again, you deserve the next shot at Alexander Usyk. Good luck. You're going to need it. But look forward to that fight. So, guys, have an awesome Sunday, and we'll catch you tomorrow.